Snow always remembers. The winter I turned 32 was the coldest Maple Ridge had seen in 2 decades. Not just the weather, the people too. Snow gathered on the porches like thick white scars. The wind cut my face as if it had something personal against me. And every time I saw a Christmas wreath hanging on a door, it felt like someone mocking me with a tradition I no longer belonged to. My name is Elena Morris, the middle daughter in a family that acted like they never had one. People love to say Snow buries everything. They're wrong. Snow remembers. And so did I. Because last Christmas, my own family banished me, tore my name from the will, and laughed as they shoved me out of the only home I'd ever known. And when I learned the real reason they cut me off, a reason tied to my bloodline, to a secret my mother took to the grave, I vowed I would return. Not to forgive, but to take everything, down to their last smile. The house that hated me, growing up in the Morris household, meant one thing. You served the family, or you were nothing. My older sister, Vivian, was the golden child. She could burn the house down and they'd blame the candles. My younger brother, Caleb, was the heir, the future CEO of our family's construction company, Morris & Sons. And me, I was the extra, invisible unless they needed something fixed, signed, cleaned, corrected, or covered up. But despite everything, I still believed we were family. I believed the coldness was temporary, weather, not climate. I believed that until the night, everything changed. Until last Christmas Eve, the night they buried me. Mom had been dead 7 months. Dad remarried a woman named Marissa, who smelled like expensive perfume and walked like she owned air. We were gathered in the living room, the fireplace glowing, the scent of roasted turkey hanging in the air, when Dad tapped his glass. "Tonight," he said, "we finalized the new inheritance structure." I didn't expect much, just fairness, or at least decency. Dad unfolded the document. Marissa smiled at me with gleaming teeth. Vivian smirked. Caleb didn't even look up. Dad cleared his throat, due to personal circumstances, and in the best interest of the family business. Elena will no longer receive any share of the company. At first, I thought I misheard. Then Vivian laughed. Out loud. A sharp, cruel sound that sliced through the room. Caleb joined in, shaking his head. Marissa bit her lip to hide a grin. And Dad, he just looked away, as if removing me from his life was administrative work. I remember saying, "Is this a joke?" No one answered. They didn't explain. They didn't discuss. They simply erased me. I gave 20 years to this family. I shouted, "You can't just..." Dad lifted a hand. "It's done." 2 words. 2 nails in the coffin where they intended to bury me alive. I walked out into the snow barefoot, without my coat, and not one of them followed. Not one. The secret they hid from me. For 8 months, I swallowed humiliation like poison. Until one morning, everything changed. A letter arrived from my mother's lawyer, a letter she wrote before she died. Inside it, she confessed a truth that detonated everything I thought I knew. My father was not my biological father. Not the man who disowned me. Not the man whose name I carried. Not the man whose empire my labor helped build. My real father was someone else. A man named Richard Hale, a successful land developer who died when I was 6. Mom kept it secret because she feared the Morrises would throw me out. Turns out, they did anyway. But the letter held something more. A deed. A land ownership document. The land where Morris & Sons built their headquarters belonged to my biological father, and therefore to me. And Dad, the man who cast me aside, had forged Mom's signature 27 years ago to claim the property. The company stood on stolen land. My land. I didn't lose everything. They did. They just didn't know it yet. The law is cold but fair. I took everything to a lawyer. He nearly fell out of his chair. "Elena, this isn't just fraud," he said. "This is a land inheritance violation, corporate theft, and you own all 34 acres under their headquarters." I felt nothing. No joy. No anger. Just cold clarity. "They kicked me out like garbage," I said. "I want the property back." He nodded slowly. "We can seize control of the land. Legally. And the company, if the corporation is operating on land you own, they either negotiate or collapse." For a moment, I saw my mother in my mind. Her gentle smile. Her trembling hands. Her whispered apologies whenever Dad belittled me. This wasn't just revenge. This was her justice, too. The return. Silent, strategic, deadly. I didn't announce myself. I didn't warn anyone. I simply had the sheriff deliver a formal land seizure notice to Morris and Sons. The building froze. The employees panicked. Vivian called me first. Elena, what is this? Some kind of stunt. Read the document, I said. I could hear papers rustling. Then her sharp inhale. This says you're the legal owner of the property. Yes. And you're demanding rent, she hissed. No, I said. Eviction. She screamed. I hung up. 10 minutes later, Caleb called. Elena, come on. Be reasonable. Were you reasonable when you laughed at me last Christmas? Silence. Then. We didn't think it mattered that much. You destroyed my life. A beat. Then he muttered, we thought you were Dad's mistake. I didn't answer. I let him choke on his words. Because for the first time, they felt the ground crack beneath them. The family meeting, now they begged. They called an emergency meeting at Dad's house. Marissa opened the door like she owned the sun. Elena, she said sweetly, we're so glad you came. You didn't give me a choice. Inside, Dad paced the living room. Vivian sat stiffly. Caleb avoided my eyes. Dad tried being authoritative. Elena, if this is about last Christmas, we can. This isn't about Christmas, I said. This is about 27 years of fraud. Dad froze. I laid the deed on the table like a sword. This is the land your company sits on. My land. Stolen through a forged signature. Marissa paled. Vivian gasped. Caleb whispered. Oh my God. Dad swallowed. Elena, we can discuss terms. No. You can listen to them. I handed him the legal conditions. Morris and Sons must vacate the property. They must compensate for 27 years of unlawful use. They must return my share of inheritance. They must publicly acknowledge wrongdoing. They must step down from leadership. Dad's eyes filled with panic. You'll destroy us. You destroyed me first. Vivian slammed her hand on the table. This is insane. Did you think erasing me from the family was sane? Caleb tried to grab my arm. Elena, you're taking this too far. I jerked away. I haven't even started. I walked out, and this time they chased me into the snow. But I didn't stop. Not for them. Not anymore. Their downfall and my rise. Over the next 6 weeks, everything fell apart. Court sided with me. The media caught on. Rumors spread like wildfire. Morris family under investigation. Forged land deed discovered. Illegitimate inheritance scandal. Dad aged 10 years in a month. Vivian lost her VP position. Caleb's engagement collapsed. Marissa sued for divorce. And Morris and Sons, they crumbled. Shareholders dropped them. Banks froze their accounts. Employees fled. The headquarters, once a monument to their arrogance, now sat dark, silent, and empty. On a windy December morning, I stood outside as the sheriff taped the eviction notice to the main door. The same door they once forbade me to enter. Justice is slow, but it always arrives. Christmas, 1 year later. Snow fell gently as I decorated my small apartment. I wasn't wealthy. Not yet. Not the way they once were. But I was free. And peace tastes better than money. A knock came on my door. When I opened it, I found Caleb standing there, older, thinner, humbled. Elena, he whispered, breath steaming in the cold air. Please, let us inside your life again. No. He swallowed. Daddy's sick. Vivian is drowning in debt. Marissa vanished. We have nothing left. Sounds familiar, I said. Tears filled his eyes. Elena, we were wrong. About everything. I believed him. But forgiveness is not a coat you hand out in winter. You didn't just hurt me, I said. You erased me. And you erased us back. That was justice. Not revenge. He shook his head. No. What you did was revenge. And honestly, we deserved it. That was the first true thing he ever said to me. I'm not coming home, I whispered. Caleb nodded slowly. I know. He handed me a small envelope. This was Mom's. She wanted you to have it. When I opened it later, inside was a small snowflake pendant. Her handwriting on the back. For my Elena. Snow doesn't bury you. It preserves you until you're ready to rise again. I cried for the first time in years. Not for my family. For the girl I used to be. Naive. Loyal. Hopeful. The girl they tried to break. But she survived. And she came back stronger. The final twist, and my true revenge. The land was mine, but the company building was worthless now. So I did something no one expected. I didn't demolish it. I transformed it. 6 months later, Morris & Sons headquarters reopened under a new name. Hale Community Center. A resource center for struggling women, abandoned, youth, single mothers, people with nowhere to go. I built it in my real father's name, not the man who tried to erase me. And the very first plaque on the wall read, dedicated to those who were told they were nothing, and proved everyone wrong. That was my revenge. Not destroying the family, but rebuilding the world they tried to take from me, and becoming everything they said I'd never be.